I thought long and hard this morning.
Yeah?
I really pondered this question. Sometimes questions come to my mind unbidden. I don't want them. I don't want them at all. Sometimes I will just be sat there and then suddenly I will need to have a philosophical debate with myself. Such as one time where I thought, the phrase just entered my head, rabbits with human breasts, how would they run? That one keeps me awake at night. But the one that hit me this morning was, who would be the worst celebrity to come out of my dick?
Oh.
I've positioned this as a long debate. That wasn't the problem with this one. The problem was I had the answer straight away.
Yeah, what's the answer?
It's James Franco, innit? Obviously. I could think of nothing worse than if I were to, I just felt like an itch in my pants, right? Mm-hmm. And I just stretch out the leggings to create a sort of viewing well down there. Just pull them forward and look down, and then worming his way out of my dick. He starts small, don't worry about that.
You say he starts small.
Yeah.
You've cut me off at the pass from,
okay.
My first suggestion of a worst person was going to be, who is the largest celebrity? Because that's going to be the worst to force themselves out. You're cutting me off at the pass with some of the things I thought would be bad about this.
I mean, I still think that's a relevant question, because I say they start small, but their dimensions don't change. So James Franco will be James Franco scaled down, very much like his career scaled down. Whereas Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will be scaled.
Johnson.
Yeah, will be scaled down, but will still be bigger than James Franco because he's a WWF former WWE wrestler, and Vince McMahon. His settlements that he didn't pay, them big, and he would be well over 6 foot. We're talking over 6.5 foot, plus a lot of muscles. He eats raw eggs. He's a raw egger kind of guy. So I think if he came out of my dick, it would be explosive. It would be the most electrifying dick emanation in sports entertainment.
My brain jumped on worst people to come out of your dick. My first, the place my brain went to is Jeffrey Epstein crawls out, takes a selfie and writes down in the book, I was at Steph's, and then runs away. That's a very bad dick emergence scenario.
I tell you why I would push back on that. I tell you why I would.
Okay.
out of the two sex pests, I tell you why I would favour Jeffrey Epstein over James Franco to come out of my dick. Is in my mind's eye, James Franco is coming out, looking up at me, grinning, covered in afterbirth. God knows where that came from, right? Whereas Jeffrey Epstein would just sort of flop out dead. It would be less embarrassing. It'd be less embarrassing for me. Because then all I have to do is, pick him up off the ground by his ankle and then fling him at a trash can, which has the lid up, so that he hits the inner lid of the trash can and then falls in the bin, and the trash can lid then falls down on top in the classic scenario. I feel like any dead celebrity would be better to crown from my helmet than a live one.
No, you don't think the rotting or anything would be particularly unpleasant?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, that has thrown up, because I was going to be I'd rather have David Koch come out of my dick than Keanu Reeves, as lovely as Keanu Reeves is. Again, I feel like it's less of a social faux pas if they're dead. And B, I wouldn't want to put Keanu through that, let alone myself. He's a lovely bloke by all accounts.
That is really then complex, because on the one hand, you don't want somebody awful coming out of your dick. But on the other hand, you don't want someone you'd like coming through your dick, because that's going to be trauma for them. There's no winning, no matter who's coming out your dick.
It's
everybody
Morton's
loses.
Cork.
Yeah.
It really is. And you see, that's why I bring these things to you, to help me solve the Willy problem. I have...
hang on.
There's no good... Oh!
You've just solved it. Willie Nelson is the best celebrity to come out of your dick. Because he's going to be fine. He's chill. He's going to understand. These things happen, and he's probably going to have a J for you afterwards.
Yeah. That is... Oh, God. As far as the best...
That's the answer of best. Yeah, we found the opposing end of the question, for sure.
I won't argue with you on Willie Nelson. Absolutely.
Yeah, we just need the literal opposite of Willie Nelson,
That's
and we've got the worst.
What is the platonic opposite of Willie Nelson? That is...
Who's going to be very, not at all understanding of the situation and then steal a J from you?
Peter Thiel.
And they have to be... they have to be real people?
I would imagine.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, Wolverine would just be awful, because, he's gonna be mad. He's gonna be so mad about that. And what are you gonna do with Mad Wolverine?
My thought was you were going to say, if it's Wolverine, he might come out, claws out, which I don't want.
Yeah, that would...
I wouldn't like that to happen
That would
to
not
me.
be good. That would not be good. Ashton
if
Kutcher
we're then
would be
talking...
bad.
Oh.
Really, anybody from the cast of that 70s show would be a problem.
Yes, very much so.
But worst,
basically,
I don't know.
if you're in the 70s show or Apatow... camps. Apatow less so. There's a couple that I think aren't.
Yeah, there's a couple Apatow people
there.
I think are all right, probably.
It's Seth Rogen did the decent thing in the end.
Would the worst perhaps be Peter Molyneux? Because he'd be making you a whole bunch of promises while slowly making his way out that he's not going to fulfill.
God. Yeah, he's going to tell me it's not going to happen again, and I know it will.
Yeah.
I saw what you did there.
Well,
Laura.
look, welcome to Podquisition. We're here. We talk about video games sometimes.
We do.
There's some good ones,
and that
some bad
really
ones.
was a good transition into games from a subject that had almost nothing to do with anything.
Well, you know what does? Yeah, video games.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them you've each played this week. I know me and Steph have played one in common that we both have thoughts about this week.
That's all I've had time for.
Well, you should talk about that Pokopia.
I've played too many hours of Pokopia since last week.
I have left important things by the wayside because I have gotten too glued to... I have had too many late nights. Like last night... It was bedtime when I thought I should build an entire concert stage.
It's legitimately a little hard to put down, this cozy city builder.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. I was hoping it'd be good. I
thought you might dig it.
I was not expecting it to have this tight a grip on me, to the point where I told you the other day, Laura, I can't go back to Animal Crossing now. That island of lazy, ungrateful, bone idle, exploitative fucks. I can't go back to that selfishness where I have to pay for the privilege of doing manual labour. When I've been surrounded by Pokemon who get upset if they aren't included in the manual labour, who are like, oh, you built a house without me. Constantly excited by everything you do, help with everything, and are just delightful the whole time. It's one of the biggest sort of loops of positive reinforcement I've ever played. Constant reminders that you are making this world better, and everyone is happier for it and wants to join in, and it's so fucking positive.
It is an entire game that is built out of, you're never not going to have something to do, because the second you finish a task, 2 or 3 more tasks are going to pop up, and while you're working on those tasks, even if you're not getting your buddies to come help you, they're going to run up to you and be like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know you've done so many nice things for the community that I've really enjoyed your company. Here's a berry or a shoe I found. I hope it's okay. I just wanted you to know that I appreciate what you've done for me." And then they run away and you're like, "Oh, I'm so glad that Illumies really liked the house I built. Yay!"
And not only is it very charming that they're like, "I found some rocks, here you are." They're really useful as well. Like, everything has a practical purpose. I've never taken something and be like, "I don't want this." Unlike certain animals that keep giving me fucking cycling shirts.
Yeah, it's never, "Here is a cosmetic item you already own 4 of that's not your style." It's always, "Here is something that is going to be practically useful or that is really unique and hard to find." And you're like, hell yeah, thank you.
I'm not going to keep comparing this to Animal Crossing because this game deserves its flowers on its own merit. Because, my God, I struggled at first. I thought what I was going to be saying here this week would be, it's really good, and this is no fault of the game, but I find it overwhelming. And some of that's still true.
Yeah.
But it has made things that I would find daunting in other building games so accessible and so straightforward and quick. That's the other thing.
Yes.
Aside from certain buildings taking full days, which I think is incongruous with the speed of the rest of it. Like, and again, just because it's fresh in my mind and I've gone straight from it to this. In Animal Crossing, trying to terraform the island is one of the most laborious, boring things in the world, where you are individually painting small tile after small tile of road, whereas here, in seconds, you can lay out in rapid succession enough blocks to make a big flooring area, like a big road.
Yeah.
It's so immediate. And the game starts off immediate and quick-paced, which, for the series, for Pokemon, is refreshing. It was a bit overwhelming at first, and at times still is when I, return to one of the biomes, and there's 5 Pokemon with speech bubbles above their heads. And it's nothing urgent. It's never anything urgent. It's just the way my brain is wired, where I'm like, demand, demand, demand. But most of the time now that I've sort of gotten into the loop, it is so easy to burn hours doing something that doesn't matter. Like, I get sidetracked doing something just twee for my own benefit.
100%. Like, I spent, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 hours the other day. One of the late game areas has a bunch of different islands. I built a train network, completely unnecessary, no one asked me to, that, went to each of the islands and each of the areas on it, and made, one big complete loop that takes me about 2.5 minutes to ride the train around the big loop. And, trying to puzzle, okay, how am I going to make this really steep incline, or etc. on my train tracks, and making this whole little, just... It's faster for me to fast travel, probably, but I want to ride my little train. And then while I was doing it, and the thing that motivated me, halfway through the project to go, no, this is worth my time, was realizing there's a Pokemon called Car Coal that's a little minecart full of coal with a face on the front of it.
Yeah.
If I tell them to follow me, and I get on my train, and there's a couple of train cars behind me, unlike the rest of the Pokemon that will get on the minecarts behind me, Car Coal doesn't. It puts itself at the back of the train and adds itself as an additional train car at the back.
Oh my god, I didn't know
right?
that. That's
No,
awesome.
It's adorable. Ask them to follow you and you get on the train. They'll add themselves as an additional train car. And that was enough for me to go, yes, I need to finish this elaborate train system that the game is not asking me to do. This area I'm in has so many unfinished buildings. I could be finishing building, so much I could be tidying up. No, I want to make the train track so that Car Coal can go on a 2.5 minute little roller coaster with me.
Yeah, and it is incredible just how easy it is. It's like the fucking... What's his face? Walter Goggins in the Fallout show. Thou shalt get sidetracked by meaningless bullshit. I wasted precious time yesterday. Time that I can't afford to spend idly. because of real life, because of like work stuff. I wasted precious time trying to make Gravela's house that I built better. I don't care about Graveler. He's one of the most boring Pokemon in the world. But for some reason, I had it in my head, like, he crushes berries. He's crushed many berries for me.
Yeah.
He
deserves a nice place to live after all the berry crushing.
Part of it is chasing the high of finally having a Pokemon tell you that their living conditions are awesome.
Yeah.
There is something so satisfying about them finally, like, just saying, it is awesome and perfect to live here. I obviously found Ekans and was delighted when I stumbled upon them. I actually brought them to Pallet Town, the free area, and I've built a junkyard where they and Coughing live.
Oh!
I made an entire soundstage yesterday out of, like, neon flooring and stuff. 2 big 4 pillars and a roof with, like, searchlights at the top. But it doesn't do anything. Like, I put a habitat in the middle with the stage furniture item, and Wigglytuff turned up to it this morning and now lives there. But, like, so much of it I'm doing just for the fuck of it.
Right.
Sometimes for Pokemon, I don't, like, obviously I've gone the extra mile for some of my favourites, but then I've started going the extra mile for ones I don't give a fuck about. Like, Ekans and Chansey, they're sorted, but Graveler, like, fuck.
Yeah. I've been similarly, like, going down the rabbit hole of this game's systems and being delighted by some of the things that aren't being pointed out, but, like, you didn't need to do this. One of the ones I discovered the other day, you can craft a food item and then use that as an ingredient in another food item. So, a Pokemon was asking me for a bread bowl, like a soup in like a bowl made of bread, and I realised, like, oh, I can go and make soup, and then make bread using soup as one of the ingredients to get this bread full of soup. And that suddenly I was like, wait, what else can I be making? So many other, like, recipe options opened up to me suddenly. I was like, this system does not need to be as in-depth as it is. This is a mechanic that only exists to go briefly get the powered-up version of ability. You didn't need to make me be able to make soup bowls, but now I'm just fucking around with recipes because I can.
That's another really good thing about the game, that, again, it's very incongruous to a lot of, like, the Nintendo-pilled games out there. It doesn't just force you to have fun on its terms, and it rewards you for, like, skipping steps sometimes, or, like
yeah.
figuring something out to, like, making the habitats that attract Pokemon. Like, none of them are locked. If you find the items and you don't know what they do, you can arrange them in a way that might make logical sense to you and see what happens.
Yeah.
Once I figured out, I got it. It didn't strike me as I just didn't consider it at first. But as soon as I was like, wait a minute, I can take the native grass of one region and then move it to a new one to get more Pokemon. Like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, holy shit, I could just experiment and find things.
There's so many mysteries that are just not really explained and are left for you to stumble upon and then go, this is going to take me forever. I don't know what's at the other end of it. One of which is, have you found the cave with, like, the mural of the unknown letters?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still collecting those and putting them on a wall going, I don't know what these are going to do when I have them all. But every time I find one, I am ecstatic and I'm going to go put it in there, working on my little I have no idea why I'm doing it project.
And there's lots of, like, stuff like that, like, lots of stuff just hidden. Like, I remember in the rocky area with the mine, where you introduced to minecarts, I was digging around, went into this sort of lava pit, and I saw a door in the distance. And I was like, I'll come back here. Hours and hours later, like probably like a day or two later, I stumbled on it again and was like, holy fuck, I forgot about this. And obviously I walk in there and there's an entire abandoned museum with a new Pokemon in it that tells me, oh shit, here's a use for these items I've been collecting and didn't know what to do with.
And then realising, like, oh, this is a perfect place for me to put my fossils, and then that being a whole new avenue of getting Pokemon was like, oh, I fill in my little exhibits, and that brings me more stuff to see. I was like, oh.
See, I took the other tack, Which, again, I
Yeah.
love it that there's another tack. Because one of the things I love is, and this is true of other building games as well, in that I was like, I could fill this museum out, or I could lift the entire museum. I could disassemble this whole thing.
Oh.
I didn't disassemble the whole museum, but I did ransack it for its innards.
You just steal all its podiums.
Yeah. If I go to one of those, like, dream islands, there have been buildings where I'm like, this is from a biome that I've not unlocked yet. I really like the look of this building. I will have it. And I will just disassemble the entire building. Thea was watching me do it, and they said, there's only one item type in this game, and it's called mine.
I need to go to more of the Dream Islands. That's one of the elements I've not engaged with as much as I should.
Great.
Yeah. Also, there's an in-game event has started today, I think. The Hop-Up event. Have you seen this yet?
Yeah, that kicked in yesterday.
I love that they're just, like, adding little additions. This game that already feels like it has way more stuff in it than I anticipated, that they're already going, yeah, just for a couple of weeks, here's another thing going on, and another thing. Have some more things to do.
Yeah, like it was... When Animal Crossing's at its best, it makes you excited to start a new real-world day in the game and see what happens. And that has nailed that. Like, I am always excited to see what happens next.
I've talked before about the fact that I love the previous game this studio made, Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yeah.
Me and Jane, both absolute fans of Dragon Quest Builders 2. And, like, so much of the DNA of this game, the more I play of Pokopia, I'm like, oh, this is just Dragon Quest Builders 3. Like, the very specific way the camera moves when you're on the minecart, railway tracks, things like that. I'm like, this is just Dragon Quest Builders 3. The difference being, genuinely, I think this is a better version of what that studio was doing before. Because, like, when they were doing it as Dragon Quest Builders, the plot was never particularly interesting. It was always, oh, you're in the remains of an old Dragon Quest. That person who's colour-coded like evil, will they be evil, I wonder? And there were combat sections that were never really enjoyable, that were just an excuse for the game to ruin your builds and make you have to go back and rebuild them after the battle. And, like, I never was a fan of that. This has gotten rid of all of the things I didn't like. It's put a narrative that is weirdly engrossing with its, hey, look, it's just a little mystery of where the fuck has humanity gone.
And it's a fucking bold move. Like, what if we took the Kanto region and made it an apocalypse?
What if we implied that global warming and the rise of AI data centers fucked up the planet so much that humanity buggered off and left Pokemon to just sort of fend for themselves in the end times? And I'm like, that's a great plot hook. I love that.
Mm-hmm. I've been, like, reading all the lore, like, and I was actually quite proud of myself for sussing some of the mystery out of, like, why the Pokemon were there. Stuff like that. And, like, there's a story about, like, because each lore entry that you find in each area, like, will tell a sequential story. So I love the backstory of, like, the Team Rocket grunt who was preparing for the disaster, like, for Giovanni, and that sort of talks about his thought process, and, like, a hacker, like, hacking into the Pokemon app to find stuff out, and the professor who's very heavily implied to be, like, Professor Oak or what have you, and talking about his Tangler, which, like, really well thought out story and writing in this.
But also just, like, the Pokemon being in it really does do a lot for this formula.
Yes.
Because even if it's just an excuse to go, other than building buildings, here is an excuse and a justification to have a varied biome, to have varied little spots dotted across your areas that are going to make them feel unique in their layout by the time they're done. It's a whole a lot of little tasks to do that encourage you to build things that aren't just buildings, and then every one of them is, ooh, I get to meet a cute little friend afterwards. Even just doing something as small as, I found the ingredients to put a tree and a radio and a little table with a plate on it, or whatever it is, that task is at some point, you know, within the next couple of hours, gonna get me a cute little friend. Yeah. And it makes, like, the smallest little building tasks feel like they're gonna have a tangible, positive outcome to them. It makes doing the task so worthwhile. So many little dopamines.
Yeah, and the fact that it is Pokemon like lends an extra air of interest to it. The fact that a lot of these kind of building games can often feel very sort of isolated, or isolating rather. Like you just like I can find them quite lonely experiences, even ones with NPCs in them, because so much of the time I'm just here quietly sort of putting things together. Whereas you can't plant a flower without Pokemon noticing, running over and just going, wow, that's so cool. Or indeed, like you want to build a prefab building, you ask them to do it so you can go do other things.
I had one the other day where I was just slightly rearranging. I had like some flowers around a grave that like encouraged a Cubone to come be there, and I was like, I'm not gonna like dismantle this habitat, but I'm just gonna like move some stuff slightly. I'm gonna move where the flowers are to like I think it'll look nicer. I didn't realize the Cubone was nearby, and it had a little icon over it. It was so sad that I had like moved the flowers at the gravesite. I was like, oh no! And I went and put them back. I was like, I'm so sorry, Cubone. I didn't mean to mess with the gravestone. I'm so sorry.
I do have a slight issue with that in that sometimes you've got to move shit. And the way they act shocked and then will run over and be like, my flowers, where did they go? I have gotten around it by asking them to follow me first. Because if they're a follower, they don't respond to what you're doing, so I can safely move stuff. But I really wish there was a way to communicate, like, I'm just moving this shit over there. I'm not stealing it. Or, like, I'm going to replace it with something.
You gotta remember, these are animals. They struggle with object permanence. If it's not how it was right now, everything's changed forever.
Yeah.
You've got to treat it like, what if I changed where a dog's bed was? They're gonna get a bit freaked out for a sec.
And they do get over it very quickly, but, like, yeah I will... And again, I don't have to do this. They're pixels on a screen, but I will have them follow me first because I don't want to see that. I don't want them to be upset. And it is remarkable. Like, I really like Pokemon, especially my favorite ones and all of that. I do care about them. But this adds an extra layer of, like, just giving a shit about them and wanting to make them happy. And again, a big part of it, I think, is that psychological feedback loop of positivity that the game has. I think they've done a remarkable job of making everything you do count and making every moment feel like you're making something good and something better. They've just done a fantastic job of doing that and communicating to the player. Their time is not spent idly, even though in real life it is. They give this sense of happy consequence to everything you do. And I'm really impressed by that. I mean, I'm impressed overall by the whole thing. I played the first Dragon Quest Builders. I can't remember if I played the sequel. But this is a whole other level. This has got me into Builders.
Dragon Quest Builders 1, not so great. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is the first one that the Pokopia team made. The first Dragon Quest Builders was a different dev team. If you are digging this, I would say that Dragon Quest Builders 2 is worth playing. It is very enjoyable. I do think this is better.
Yeah.
But I think if you find yourself like going, I could go for another game of this ilk, Dragon Quest Builders 2 is worth giving a shot.
I don't think I'll have time now. I couldn't handle two of these at once.
No, not at the same time. I mean, down the line, if you're like, I could go for another.
I've got almost nothing but good things to say about it. Like, my only consistent complaint is the fact that bigger prefab buildings take a day. Like, you need to wait overnight in real world time for them to be built. I don't mind that if it was like the bigger mansion style looking ones, but like the huts taking a full day. It's just, like I said earlier, feels incongruous with the pace of the game. I don't have a problem necessarily with things that will be ready the next day. Obviously, Animal Crossing ran on that a bit too much for my liking. And for the most part, I think it only stands out so much to me in Pokopia because everything else is stunningly immediate. Even things that take time don't take too much time. Like, I can set a smelter to work, have so much else to do that by the time I go back to the smelter, some Pokemon, who I didn't even have to ask to do it, some fire type will have walked past it and be like, oh, there's ore in there, I better get to smelting. Or like Smeagol when he paints things for you, like, they're ready in seconds. So yeah, that's the only reason I think the huts stand out to me so much, or anything bigger than a hut.
Yeah.
Pokemon Center's taken a, like, overnight. That I can understand a bit more, and I don't mind that at all, because I get excited about that.
Yeah, I think, like, the main objective of an area taking overnight, I think that's fine. I'm fine with some of the bigger buildings being overnight. I think they start a little too early on the building sizes being overnight ones.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, like, if it was, like, the very top 2 sizes, and, like, the first 4 sizes were same day, it might be better balanced, but...
Yeah, because as it stands, it starts at, like, the smallest house takes, like, I think is it 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes? Then it jumps to an hour, and then it's a day. And it's just, it feels like it's missing a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, like, as someone who could only get their head, because the way my brain's wired, I could only do the most simple and straightforward of structures in Minecraft. Absolutely did not ever want to touch the building in, like, Fallout 4 or stuff like that. I've never really loved the building aspect of builders. There's other things, weirdly, that I like about them. But this one, like, in Minecraft, the idea of, like, making railway tracks or machines with buttons, I'm like, fucking forget that. But this just, especially because it has so much of the story area, there are so many half-finished buildings and networks and infrastructure there to guide you along. The onboarding for this is impeccable.
Yeah. One of my favorite things for, like, the onboarding and making, like, engaging with mechanics not feel too scary is in the water area when you're, like, first being taught how to, like, get power and move it around town. There are blocks on the floor that have a little circle in them that is clearly an indent for where, like, if you put electrical poles on all of these spots that have these indents, it will get power to the main things that are, like, are designed to have power in this town. It will power all the lights. That will get you thinking about this is how to design your electrical layouts. Such a good way to make that not daunting the first time.
Yeah, it is perfect onboarding. Like, I genuinely think it is perfect player onboarding. The way it teaches you through the playing. And like, there is some explicit tutorializing, but the extras and the bells and whistles and the things I found truly daunting, I found myself doing them without even thinking at times. I would just start doing what made logical sense, and then I'm like, holy fuck, I have built an infrastructure here. And then I could take that skill and move it to a place where that particular part of the infrastructure is not laid out for me, because now I know what I'm doing. Fucking brilliantly designed. So much of it is brilliantly designed.
Yeah, it is a great game. I'm glad that it seems to be being received well, and I keep hearing stories that apparently this is shifting systems, so I'm glad that people are getting on board with this and having a good time with it, and hey, Nintendo, let this raise the bar for what's expected of you with the next Animal Crossing.
And Game Freak as well. Like, Game Freak would do well to take note of what has been done here. After Legends EA, which I know we have different opinions of it, but after that and the criticism it got from the fan base as well, which surprised me, and my sense that Game Freak have been getting really complacent, they would do very well to look at this and be like, holy fuck, like, this is what is possible with passion and ingenuity and being invested in this. Yeah, it is a great example of many things in terms of, like, treating a series with care and respect, because this game fucking loves Gen 1. Like, it's got Pokemon from the whole series, but obviously it's set in Kanto, and as a Gen 1 girl, like, the love for that region of Pokemon is so evident. And in terms of several exemplary game design choices, this thing is a blueprint for doing a successful spin-off and a great builder. Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Conrad? What have you been playing this week?
I finished Resident Evil Requiem.
Yeah, what do you make of that now you're done with it?
Great game. Loved it.
Fucking good game, right?
Yeah. I'm impressed by how much it feels like a classic Resident Evil game.
Mm.
You know, it's doing a lot of nostalgia baiting too. There's a fair bit of that.
Yeah.
But even still, structurally, it feels like a Resident Evil game in a way that's unlike the last two mainline entries. You know, those just didn't... They're very good games, and I love them, but they don't have quite the same balance of silliness and gameplay that this works in. So I'm really pleased with it. I was very satisfied by the conclusion. I want to comment on the hatchet.
Yeah.
I love the hatchet so much. The biggest complaint I have about the remakes is their implementation of the way knives work in 7 and 8. The loss of the combat knife, and that might have changed earlier than that. That might have been like a 5 or 6 innovation. I can't remember. But where your combat knife isn't a permanent aspect of the character, right? It's not a piece of equipment that you can just carry with you through the game and use. Because I remember what a big deal combat knife runs were back in the day for Resident Evil.
And just, it's nice always having a tool with you, even if it's a suboptimal tool.
Right. And I can see why they did away with it. But, like, Resident Evil 4 Remake, just, like, I tried to play it, and I was just like, this is not the same. You know, I didn't get past the village. I was just like, I don't like the knife. I miss my knife. And I turned it off. So, I'm glad the hatchet is there. And I really love using it. Yeah.
The parries are so just in keeping with that game's touch of the ridiculous. I love how stylish the parrying is, and it really feels good. There's a real art in making a parry, like both communicate that it worked and feel like it meant something, and you should always feel cool doing it. And the way he fucking just like takes the brunt of the attack and pushes them off, like, it's great. The hatchet is really good, yeah. There was a certain fight where there were like shades of Krauser from Resident Evil 4 in it, I think it's fair to say, and I absolutely just stuck with the hatchet for that entire fight because it felt thematic, and that was a lot of fun doing that. But because they don't introduce the parrying until really late into the game, I only used it for 2 fights because I forgot it was there on my first run. I just keep forgetting that I can do it. But, you know, in the fights I did it in, fucking great.
I also wish there were a New Game Plus. That
there is of a sort.
Is there? Is the insanity mode, does that carry over stuff, or?
So you can use completion points.
Oh, okay.
I think, and they will carry over. Like I went into a second run and then spent some completion points, and yeah. Leon's upgrade system kicks in earlier than it does in the first run.
Oh, okay.
It's like right from the start, you get access to the shop and everything, when you don't get that till the second half of the first run.
Right.
So yeah, there is a New Game Plus.
Oh, okay. All right. It didn't indicate that in a clear way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't like 100% carry everything.
Sure.
Like you've got to buy Leon's guns again from the shop, but because the shop's there earlier, like that sort of evens it out.
Right.
And I was able to like get the weapons I mainly used really early as a result. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, there is one.
Okay.
Which is good because as soon as I finished, I was like, yep, I want to do that again.
Yeah, I probably will give it another go. It's very fun.
Yeah. I'm not going to jump back into it immediately, if for no other reason than Pokopia has absorbed my time. But I know I want another playthrough.
I will go back to it at some point, but yeah, Pokopia just dragged me away from it. I'd even started playing the Resident Evil 2 remake again for the first time in a long time, and was having a blast with that again. I forgot just how legit intimidating and scary that game can be at times. It's so well done. But yeah, then Pokopia happened, and I haven't gone back to it. But yeah, I'm glad we're all in agreement on Requiem, because my God, I really think they did an incredible job on that.
Yep.
And it's such a hard thing to do two distinct play styles in one, but Capcom have impressively done that with the series for years now, like having the remakes and the mainlines as these two similar but also very disparate experiences. And they, in my opinion, proved their chops in both types of game. So bringing them together at last light, it worked great. My issue wasn't that both sides would be good. My issue was the potential for mood whiplash, but they kept a really good, consistent tone. I think having Victor Gideon as a central antagonist for both of them helps.
Yes, even the most serious moments of Grace's story have a touch of the exaggerated ridiculous, so it's not going to be too overwhelming when Leon kicks in and does a quip.
Yeah. I always forget who tells me things on Blue Sky, but someone was like, you know, in the first half, Leon is almost like a breather, like a tension release. Or maybe you said it last week, Laura.
Might have been, yeah.
But he does work great as a tension release, and then the balance shifts way more to Leon in the second half, but by that point, I think you've been conditioned so much to absurdity that it might be difficult to put that genie back in the bottle by then. So I think it actually shows that they really did consider the consistency of tone, where they're like, right, we just had that bike sequence, which I still maintain is a work of fucking art. And it would probably be hard to go, bringing the tenor back down for Grace for that. That's not to say they don't revisit her at points. The moment in the lab where they reintroduce one of my favourite Resident Evil enemy types in the whole series that had actually been missing from the series for quite some time, that sequence I fucking loved. Yeah, I am so impressed by that game. It's nice to talk about current mainstream modern games in such a positive tone for a bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
I love when there are good video games, and I get to enjoy that video games are good.
Yeah, I played 10 minutes, I'd say, of Marathon, and once I realised it was an extraction shooter again, I was like, fuck this, and I just stopped.
I didn't even bother starting. I was like, it's not going to beat Pokopia for me this week. Why would I give it time?
It immediately looked and felt like an also-ran. And yeah, I had started Pokopia by that point, and I was almost glad that I was like, I'm not going to get on with this at all. Good. I can spend more time playing Pokopia.
Have either of you played anything else this week?
No.
I have not. Not at all.
Well, Steph, in that case, do you want to bring up, do you want to talk about PickMon?
PickMon! So, in the wake of what happened with Pal World, I saw on social media a video being shared around of a new game that was announced that has the audacity to say it was inspired by Pal World.
Well, I think it's inspired by a lot of things looking at it.
In fairness, they were inspired by Pal World's brazen attempt.
Yes!
Yeah. Can I just describe to people the first shot of the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's impressive how many things are happening in the opening shot. Breath of the Wild Link in blue tunic with, the sort of brown boots and the quiver of arrows is riding a glider, very Breath of the Wild, with what is very clearly a Pikachu on their back, gliding next to Rayquaza from Pokemon Emerald, given the colour palette of Giratina from Diamond and Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first screenshot of the trailer.
My first look at it was the thumbnail of the trailer, which has a very clear, like, Lucario, a very clear Charizard. Basically, PickMon is an indie game that is possibly the most bold-faced rip-off I've ever seen. The fact that they called it Pickmon, like, just brushing up to Pikmin for no reason, like, just to... It really feels like it's a deliberate attempt. It feels like bait. It feels like bait.
Yeah, because some of the Pokemon are, like, people said, Palworld's creature designs are too close to Pokemon designs, they're ripping off Pokemon designs. This is not doing that's a bit too close knockoff design. Some of them are just, that's Pikachu, for example.
Yeah.
But the ones that aren't, like, their style of knocking off the Pokemon art style is to do the Palworld art style. Like, there is no, here's our spin on how to knock off Pokemon. It's just, what if we did the Palworld take on Pokemon designs?
Yeah.
And also put them inside survival crafting, builder base, Unreal Engine environments. Give them guns as well, because why not?
Yeah. And I mean, they have gone so much further than Palworld. Like, with Palworld, I would look at, like, side-by-side comparisons of Palworld creatures and Pokemon, and I'd be like, yeah, that one is very close, that one is very close, this one's a bit of a stretch, this one might be a knockoff. There's no might in any of this. People could argue, whether they were right or wrong to, people had enough of a slippery foothold to, like, try and make a case for Palworld. There is no making a case for this. One look at their Charizard knockoff and you're like, that is just Charizard.
Oh, my favourite one, I think, is if you go to about 1 minute 15 in the trailer, there is a Pokemon that you cannot say they parallel came up with. Like Pikachu, we just coincidentally also thought of a yellow rodent. It's Ceruledge, the purple knight with flames on its helmet and double blade arms.
I remember
from
that.
Scarlet and Violet.
Because that was one of my mains in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm like,
yeah, it's one of the
Ceruledge.
coolest ones in Scarlet and Violet. There's no world in which you accidentally came up with this design.
And I mean, like, if you've not seen this, listeners, I cannot describe enough what a knockoff it is, because, like, we look at the Pikachu knockoff. They did not just say, it's a yellow rodent. It's got Pikachu's tail. Like, it just straight up has Pikachu's tail. The exact same lightning bolt design. And that is like it for all of the clear knockoffs. It's not like Palworld where it's like, this is a bit too heavily inspired. This one is absolutely 100%. They copied it and tried to make the minimum changes they absolutely could.
But you see, this one, weirdly, might be legally more defensible than Palworld, because Nintendo's argument against Palworld was, you're throwing spheres as a capture device and Pokeballs are like our thing. This, you throw cards to catch them. This is a card captor Sakura system, therefore it's not Pokemon.
So this time, I can only assume they're going to get sued by Konami for knocking off Yu-Gi-Oh! It is incredible. And yeah, you are right, like, they got Palworld not on the visual stuff, really.
Yeah. This has changed the one thing Nintendo was able to get Palworld on.
And it's gotta be a flex. I refuse to believe they made this and thought, we are going to make a beloved game. I genuinely think they're stunting on Nintendo, and this is possibly a direct response to the Palworld shit. This is, like I say, it smells like bait. But I recommend people look up the PickMon trailer just because it is staggering in its audacity. It is staggering.
Side note, I've been playing a little bit of Pokopia while we've been recording, because of course I haven't. I finally got Ekans.
Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah, finally got Ekans! But yeah, we got a couple of other newsy bits for this week. Let me remind myself. This one. We got a story about unions. So there's a voice actor, Ben Diskin, voiced Mega Man in Mega Man 11. He's not going to be returning to the role in the upcoming next Mega Man game, because he was told he would have to do it, quote, without the protections of a union contract.
Ugh.
They tried to get him to agree to go non-union by going, well, I know that, like, the union had stuff in place that we'd never use your voice for AI, and we know we're asking you not to have the union protections, but, like, we promise still we'll never use you for AI, even though you won't be with the union to protect you. And as he responded, quote, working without a contract I can realistically enforce isn't something I can risk.
Yep.
'Cause of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not trust a corporation. There's no honor that they conduct themselves with.
If a company says, sign away your right to be protected from us doing a thing, don't worry, on a system we won't do it, don't fucking trust them.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's all there is to say about this. It's fucking horrible. And it's unfortunate that these people are in a position where, like, more often than not, they can't afford not to take the work. You know, in this case, they've made the decision that they can't afford to not take the work, and they're moving on, and good for them. It's absolutely the right move. It's the right move for everybody's benefit. But yeah, they're gonna try and take away everything, and you can't give them an inch.
Yeah, exactly. Talking of Nintendo earlier, we've got a fun story. Nintendo is suing the United States government twice for two different things at the moment.
Oh, I'd heard of one.
Yeah, so one of which is to do with the tariffs last year, which Trump put a bunch of sweeping tariffs in place without having congressional approval, and that fucked over a bunch of people, and that's since been ruled unlawful. He should not have done so. That money that was collected in tariffs should not have been collected. Nintendo has responded to this by going, hey, we had to delay pre-orders for the Switch 2 because of your pulling that bullshit. We had to change the price of the Switch 2 based on tariffs you should not have been collecting. We are going to sue you for refunds for the previously imposed tariffs, plus additional harms and interest. So that's one that they're doing. The second is they're going after the United States government for copyright infringement for the US government using the Pokopia font to make a meme about Make America Great Again. They got posted to government channels, and Nintendo is going, hey, don't use our intellectual property for political campaign purposes. So, yeah, Nintendo not happy with the US government right now.
I mean, who is?
Fun one that doesn't impact... Fun, I say in inverted commas, that doesn't impact us but is worth people knowing. There's a game, Arc Raiders, not one I particularly put much time into, that allowed people to connect their Discord account to do things like adding their Discord friends to matchmaking or whatever it allowed them to do. It has been discovered there was a bit of a problem with Arc Raiders' Discord integration, which was storing users' private Discord messages locally in ways that were completely accessible to the developers of Arc Raiders.
Oh dear.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops. They've been working with the game's developer to fix the problem. It's been fixed via a hotfix. Hey, be real careful what companies you allow access to your social media programs. This is just a heads up. That's not great.
Not good. Best not to do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you have anything, like, especially, like, social media, anything with, like, sensitive information, like, personal, like, not even just, like, personal details, like addresses and that. Like, I mean, your fucking life. Do not give a third party, do not give a company any of that shit. Fuck that.
Yeah. Indeed. And then, lastly, for the newsy stuff, we have official confirmation now that the next Xbox console, when it happens, fuck them and their support of genocide, etc., but we have confirmation the next Xbox will indeed support PC gaming storefronts. Now, I bring this up because I have no proof for this, but I think this is connected to another story from this week. About 2 days before this news was made official, PlayStation announced that they weren't, or it was reported by, I think, Jason Schreier, PlayStation were going to stop bringing their first-party games to PC. I think these two might be connected. I suspect PlayStation maybe has caught wind of this and gone, we don't want Xbox to be able to turn around with their next console and say, buy our Xbox, it gets all the first-party PlayStation exclusives and all the Xbox exclusives.
Yeah. Possible, yeah.
Curious what incentive there will be for people to buy games from Xbox's own store if they could just be buying them off Steam, probably for a big discount that won't give money to Microsoft. Very curious, because like the more that's said about this, the more it does just sound like this is Xbox's attempt at the Steam machine.
On some level, that's always what Xbox was, trying to be. They were trying, because they're a software company that got into consoles, right? But they're a software company. They wanted to dominate the living room. That was the goal, to have their software through, through the device running the entire entertainment hub for people. And so this is just another route to doing that. Ultimately, they're getting the games on there, but it's all going to be more Windows based, and they're reshuffling. But it's ultimately the same concept.
So yeah, I think that's everything we got for this week.
I just unlocked a Team Rocket outfit.
Ooh.
Give me a screenshot or something. Let me know where you found that. I want to know about that.
Yeah, I will do so. Oh, wait. Well,
we're also very focused on the show we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, I held off for most of it and then succumbed right at the end. And then I got a table. All right, yeah, I will show you where I got that. But our listeners may want to rocket over to other places to enjoy some of your other content, Laura. And where could they do that?
They can do that at Laura K. Buzz in most of the places. Patreon's the big one. $1 a month over there, or more if you want. Let's keep doing all the stuff that I do. Also, it's just a good place to see links to all the things what I'm doing. Go check out the first episode of Where Everybody Has Gone Before. It's over on YouTube. It is a video podcast where myself and Jeffrey Bunting roll a wheel of every Star Trek episode ever created and watch them at random. Look forward to an episode we've got coming up in which a man backflips away from sex. That's a fun time. Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the things that I'm up to. What about you, Conrad?
Oh, you can find me over on Blue Sky at Conrad Zimmerman, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. And everything that I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
Send the bloody screenshot. Jesus. Why did it say couldn't? Oh, I'll figure that out in a minute. Patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast and the video series, which I was going to have that ready on Monday, but something happened. And it supports reviews on the Jimquisition.com. There's a review for Resident Evil Requiem up now. I will be performing live in Manchester with Pinfall Wrestling on April 14th. So look up pinfallwrestling.com for details of that. And you can check out my writing work in Vampire Survivors, Quantum Witch, and Date Everything. 3 games that are out right now. And there will be some news on the books that I'm working on in the near future. So thank you all so much for listening, for supporting, and everything. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.